But for now, the top story, not only are economics dividing Americans, but our culture is changing for the worse. So says Laura Ingram in her new book, Of the I Zing, America's Cultural Decline from Muffin Tops to Body Shots. Miss Laura brought her point of view to NBC this morning.
You know what CeeLo Green's summer concert series, #1 hit, CeeLo Green?
Yeah, I know the song.
Yeah, Blank You.
Forget.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the way you want to end this, by saying Blank You?
But I'm just, no, not you.
Is that the way we're going to do this?
But now, like if I lit up a cigarette right now, it'd be, right, if I just lit up, what would happen if I did this?
The alarms would go off and they would throw a bucket of water on you.
But you're not, we've agreed that this is not good. We've agreed that on television, probably not a good thing to show that to the kids. All I'm saying is, and I love you guys, but all I'm saying is, we can bring it up. Like Tony Bennett, love it. Awesome. Come on, you have some great people booked, but come on, we can do better than Enrique Iglesias. Tonight, I'm not trucking you. Tonight, I'm blanking you.
I'm not going to say that on this show.
Here now, the culture warrior Laura Ingram. Enrique Iglesias, who knew? Who knew?
How did we go from all the girls I've loved before, his father, to I want to blank you? Is that really a good trajectory for our culture, Bill? How are you?
And I don't believe for a moment that you love those guys over there, by the way.
No, I think Laura, no, but I think a lot of I think a lot of the elites,
yeah,
they don't want this stuff for their kids, but in their professional lives, you know, hanging chili with Rihanna and Lady Gaga because they have huge numbers in sales. They do. I think a lot of these people, they don't want these kids to go anywhere near this stuff.
They don't make any judgments about behavior as you do. And I read your book, and it's very entertaining, and people should take a look at it.
No, they should read it because it's hilarious, but it's serious at the same time. We have to laugh through this pain that we're all in. You were the original culture warrior.
That's right.
And you were on a boat in your culture warrior book.
Yeah.
Look, I'm on a boat too, but it's an older boat.
Okay, but your clothing is not the same.
You had a better windbreaker than I did.
Now listen, so I am buying into your premise that the culture is deteriorating.
Toxic.
Deteriorating,
yes,
and very quickly. And I'll just say to the things, I'm a former lifeguard, water safety instructor, and I go to the beach a lot. And I see 13, 14-year-old girls with these giant tattoos on their back, and I'm going...
Tramp stamps, Bill. Get the lingo down.
But what is wrong with their parents? I mean, not a little tattoo, a giant... red, blue
But
tattoo.
Bill, parents today see that and they say, "Oh, Laura, Bill, look, our children are self-actualizing. They're being themselves. They're being themselves, and your judgment really is not helpful to their development." That's the message the predominant culture is saying, and I say, we all know that. Let's say you're 15 years old, you're a guy, and you put some kind of eagle on your arm. By the time you're 55 years old, that's going to look like a seagull with cancer, okay? That thing is going to have fallen and look terrible. At least aesthetically, it doesn't work either.
If we're going to trust adolescents and teenagers to make judgments about their bodies, we're in big trouble.
Not about smoking, though. They can't smoke.
That's why you have parents to make those judgments.
Yeah.
If you're 25 and you want to get an eagle, hey, it's America, get an eagle. Now, one of the things that I feel has led to the deterioration of the culture is this sense of entitlement.
Oh, it's the worst.
This narcissism that is really taking over. What is the root of that?
I think it's parents who don't want to parent. They really do want to be friends with their kids, and they want to be the cool, hip, kind of housewives of X city. On the block.
But it's more than that,
No,
though.
let me finish. This is what they do, Bill. In situations where kids, let's say, have musical tastes, parents, it's easier to say, okay, kids are going to be kids. All the kids are listening to Rihanna's S&M. Okay, all the kids are listening to
not my kids.
To Kesha, her Get Sleazy tour, just out at Jones Beach. I mean, biggest, hottest selling tour of the summer. Get Sleazy, her previous hit called Blow. Okay, parents have to be parents, and when they don't do that, kids feel like they can do whatever they want.
You've always had derelict parents in this country.
No, but
always.
It's much worse today.
But here's the difference. My mother and father did not have a sense of entitlement.
Yep.
Okay, because they went through the Depression, World War II.
Easy, baby.
Sacrifice was what
But now,
they
Bill,
were
no,
used to.
Obama is, not to make this political. This book is not political. I'm just talking about sacrifice today. Take Obama out of it. But sacrifice today is how much of your money are you willing to give to acceptable
how did that
causes?
happen? I mean, the baby boomers, my generation, we have an awful strong sense of entitlement, but not nearly what the younger generation. They think they're entitled to our money. They think they're entitled to special treatment. Where did that come from?
Well, it comes from, it starts at the beginning, Bill. Like, I'm a new mom, okay? I have 3 young children, okay, under the age of 6, okay? So I fell into this whole situation very quickly, and I've been assaulted by this. Do you know 6-year-old birthday parties today aren't remember the sheet cakes we used to have with the store brand vanilla ice cream and the paper pin the tail on the donkey from the drugstore? Today parents are actually bringing in petting zoos and roving circuses to birthday parties.
Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And little prostitutes show up in their baby couture.
Can I ask a personal question? Do any of your kids have tattoos?
You know, my kids might right now at the beach, and it's a temporary tattoo, and I didn't approve it. Maria, you're not supposed to be wearing that.
The temporary tattoos.
Yeah.
All right.
They're not. Maria, don't.
But there is a growing sense of entitlement in this country. There were individual Americans believe, where's mine?
Yeah, where's my thing?
And
why don't I have a car?
I'm willing to lie.
Bill, I talk to my 20-something staffers all the time about this. Like, kids will come to interview. Well, I want to talk about my vacation schedule. I look at these kids going, are you kidding me? I go, I'm planning a snowboarding trip in early February, so I want to make sure work doesn't conflict with that. And I'm thinking,
where did it come from?
It comes from parents who pass down the attitude, and it goes from generation to generation.
You say that it's all parenting, but I think it's media-driven too.
A lot of it is. It's the celebrity culture.
They see people, the younger people, on the internet and on television and the radio also, rewarded for the most look at the Jersey Shore people. They're rewarded for this awful behavior where they think they can do anything they want.
Strip it down. You strip it down, and you're going to make more money. You're going to get more celebrity. You probably get a reality show. Maybe you'll be able to sell your company for a lot of money. That's the message. And even talented people, Bill, people out there can also fall into this trap. And it's a dead end for young women. That's what I say to moms out there. It's a dead end for kids.
Last question. Did you frighten Matt Lauer this morning?
No, he actually...
Did you frighten him?
Well, I think he was a little taken aback by the summer concert series bar. But, you know, I think look, a lot of these people...
And what about poor Enrique Iglesias tonight?
Enrique, all I can say is, do you want someone to speak to your daughter that way? I don't think so. You shouldn't sing lyrics that actually say the same thing.
All right, Laura Ingram, everybody, of the I Zing. And you didn't even say anything bad about me in that book. I was all ready for it.
No, you were in the acknowledgments. I'm going to try to take that out of the second printing.
Next on the rundown, if America is indeed going to hell, as Ms. Laura says, whose fault is it? Got to be somebody's fault. She says parents. We'll hear what Caroline Combs says. And then, and in the Impact segment tonight, if you accept the premise that America is on the decline culturally, then it has to be somebody's fault, right? Here now, a Barack and a Hard Place duo, Alan Combs and Monica Crowley. Now, I think that the essential point that Americans have to understand, and younger Americans in particular, is that there's a drastic difference between the attitude, and I think you'd admit this, Combs, of our parents and how they looked at their own lives and how they comported themselves than now. Because of the sense of the Depression, World War II, the Korean War, the 50s, everybody was basically conforming. Now it's like, look, I want X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to do pretty much anything to get it. And a lot of the things they want are pretty venal. Am I wrong?
Yeah, well, if you think back to the 1950s, as you just mentioned, I Love Lucy was a big show, right? Lucy and Desi had to sleep in separate beds. Now, you turn on any network in prime time, which used to be the family hour, and you could see pretty much soft.
Yeah, but they're married, so I'm not real upset about that.
But remember that the standards...
Lucy should have given Desi a break once in a while.
Standards have changed, Bill, and I trace it back to the 1960s counterculture. You had the anti-establishment, anti-war counterculture, which changed the standards. So now you've got an ever-increasing low standards that have become the norm.
All right, what do you say?
I feel like I'm in a time warp. This is the conversation every generation has. Hey, when I was a kid, things were a lot better. You know, these kids today, come on. I heard that when I was a kid, and my parents people would complain about the way things were much better when they were a kid. Every generation thinks the previous generation is better than the next generation.
So you think, let's just take music, for example. Yeah. The music today is the equivalent of what it was in the 60s and 70s?
Back in the 60s, Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? People would...
That at least was French.
But it was okay because it was in French. So,
yeah, I mean, people didn't know what they were saying.
All right, so that was okay. But I mean, heavy metal music, come on. We had the same
Well, it was daring back then.
The
it's celebrated now. And the culture basically is saying to children, look, be crude. Be crude.
I don't think the culture is saying that. I don't buy that. And
you don't, what do you mean you don't buy it?
I don't buy it. You know, we keep knocking young people. You know how many young entrepreneurs we have? The founders of Facebook, which I think is a positive to society, the founders of Twitter. We have young entrepreneurs, 20-something billionaires we never had before. Young people today are doing a lot better.
So you think that the social media, the internet, has elevated the culture?
Elevated the culture. Twitter helped foment a revolution and bring democracy to the Middle East.
Do you feel that way?
Well, it has its positive aspects to it, but it's also used for very coarse purposes, as Anthony Weiner discovered, didn't he? So look, it has its upsides and its downsides, but I do believe that in large part it is driven by the media. We talked about the 1960s counterculture. As a result of that, you have an explosion of media. So back in the day, there were 3 broadcast networks that aired I Love Lucy and Dick Van Dyke. Now, you've got hundreds of cable channels, you've got the internet, and what happens is you get driven down to the lowest common denominator because that's the stuff that ends up getting rewarded.
Well, Combs, you make the point that there are some entrepreneurs, younger people who are doing very well, and I agree with you. But I think there's going to be a huge separation, and this is something you don't want, between those who are successful and those who go to the Ivy League schools, those who are well educated, those who have privilege in their lives. They're going to be the masters of the universe, and everybody else are going to have tattoos on their forehead and pierced.
Piercing is not new. Tattoos are not new.
Yeah, but the proliferation and the 12 and 13-year-olds who have them is new.
I mean, she talks about, for example, flash mobs in this book. I mean, you used to have streaking. You used to have mosh pits. I mean, it's like every generation has its own element of what you would consider diminution of the culture.
I would say that with the explosion of mass media, now that kind of thing is so amplified that it is considered the norm. And if the kids don't do it, then they're considered marginalized. The other kids don't think they're cool.
So there's peer pressure. There's peer pressure to be crude.
Because of the proliferation of the media. So Elvis Presley gets on stage, they don't shoot him from the waist down because he's swiveling his hips, right? Now Lady Gaga can go and photographed all over the internet with everything, all flags flying, right? And people say, oh, I love her music, I want to be like her.
So if that's the reality, why is that bad? Combs says it's progress, and it isn't bad.
No, I think it leads to a severe coarsening of the culture. And what we have seen through history, Bill, is that empires, cultures that have gone down this road of extreme permissiveness have faltered and ultimately destroyed themselves. It remains to be seen whether or not the United States is the exception to the rule.
When you say it's permissiveness, I say it's healthy. Gay marriage, healthy. Equal rights,
let
healthy.
It all hang out,
drug legalization, there's a cost-benefit analysis to that. It makes it much more healthy economically. What you call permissiveness, I call progress. We're going to disagree about this, I'm sure, but I believe it's forward movement that is healthy for society.
I'll just say this, Combs. I hope you or any of your loved ones or anybody you know is never killed in a car by somebody who's high on narcotics.
Well, of course. Well, of course.
Okay, so that's the unintended consequence of that kind of
that can happen whether it's legal or not. That's not the issue.
But it's amplified if it becomes legal by 1,000.
In fact, if you legally control it, might be better.
Good debate. Directly.